Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh, it's too late. We're live.
Too late. Keep going.
Welcome to the Ranger Wrap-Up. We're here live from around California, talking Power Rangers today. I'm joined by Korey and Jezer, as usual, per usual. We got our mid-season break, on Power Rangers Beast Morphers. We're going to cover a lot of these, actually, in the Power Ranger world. But, guys, how was your quarantine week been?
It's going better now. It's hot. It's hot now. It's humid. So it's feeling a little gross right now.
I don't think I like the humidity.
Yeah, it's fucking hot as shit. I can only feel for Korey, though, because Korey's in he's, like, more inland, so it's, like, probably, like, 100-something degrees over there.
No,
it's hating life right now.
What is it? It's 91.
Oh, god damn.
Oh, that's it. Just a mere 91. No big deal.
It's only 70 degrees here, and I'm complaining. It's like for shit.
Hold on. We're gonna have an issue once this starts up.
Oh, better now. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot. What was that?
So I want to talk about this, a few things. By the way, before we get into any kind of conversation, let's welcome everybody to the chat. We got Flash in here. Edward Sanchez, Blackwing, Pikachu Master, Ronald Doe, Layla's back, Matthew Thompson. What's up, guys? Let us know where you're from and where you're watching us from. We hope you're doing well in the quarantine. Where Flash is, it's cold. Hi, George. Oh, me and Korey have an echo, Jezer, just to let you know.
What?
So fucking fix it. I'm frozen on my computer, actually.
An echo?
Yeah, so anyway, let us know when that echo goes away. Korey, so keeping yourself busy in the quarantine, what have you been up to?
Nothing. I've been off for a week, so I've just been being a bum.
We had a phone meeting last Sunday, and Korey maybe said about 13 words in total in that 2-hour-long conversation. Is that right?
Pretty much.
Layla, congratulations on your graduation. Welcome to the world as fucked up as it is right now. But yeah, guys, we got Blackwings in New York. We got Ronald Doe in Augusta, Georgia, and it's hot in Augusta. So, guys, Power Rangers, Beast Morphers, we got to talk about it. Top of the show. This is going to be our big mid-season break. Korey, I already know you're not a big Beast Morphers guy, but how do you think the show kind of, I don't want to say ended, but how do you think the show is put on hold? What'd you think of this episode?
It was not great.
Awesome.
Is one of your guys' audio on? On your end?
I have the chat, the YouTube up in the back. My audio's off on the YouTube. So
my audio is also off on the YouTube, but I need the audio mainly, unless you want me to put on headphones, Jezer.
Let me see if there's any echo. Let me see.
Let us know if the echo's gone. We got Edward Sanchez from Dallas, Texas. Pikachu Master from California. What part of California you in? Layla is obviously from the bipolar Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Kawaku from New Jersey. Flash from the great state of Illinois. One of my favorite cities, Chicago. Thank you so much for joining us. But yeah, keep talking, Korey. So what did you not like about this season? I mean, you did like the second season of Beast Morphers more than the first season, right?
Yeah, I mean the second season was a bit more competent, but they're just little. Like I said, the writing is just real lazy, and it's just like, this is inexcusable. Nobody, like, they don't have the characters solve problems. They're just there to be. They just exist, and the story just kind of works itself out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Is the story's just a little bit too convenient for you.
Yeah, it's like no one found out Evox was
Mayor
was the
Daniels.
He just freaking had a choking fit, and then he
Corona,
revealed himself. You know. Yeah, I don't even like
Corona was a thing.
Let me start coughing. It would have been better if he, was sweat, or maybe he just felt weak.
I never or something. Understood.
Yeah, he just starts.
For me, one thing is like they have like the human Blaze and Roxy running around somewhere, but they never use them for the show. Actually, they don't use anybody else for the show except for Nate. Like, there's no character development for anybody except for Nate. Have you guys noticed
I
that?
agree. You know, it's interesting because I felt like this show started with so much promise, but I also think those seasons that lay Power Ranger breadcrumbs always have more promise than other seasons. I think this is such a departure from what we've been getting with that Saban era that we had, that Neo Saban era, that it was so refreshing. And now that we get a deeper dive and look into the show, I feel that like, yeah, I think it's still one of the better shows. But I think that comparatively to some of the great Ranger shows that we've gotten in the past, it falls somewhere in the middle there. But I agree, like I love the character Nate, but it's not lost on me that most of all the storylines revolve around Nate. I love Nate though, but I do wish there was more Devin. I feel that I don't really know anything about Ravi, with the exception
he likes to draw.
I really don't know anything about Blaze or Roxy either, or Zoey for that matter. Like, I just wish that there was more character development to really sink our teeth into.
Yeah, and what happened to the beast bots? They're not there no more. Like, it's like, oh, we have too many people on screen.
They always stop the show for those freaking clowns to goof around, and that's the perfect time to use the beast bots, to use them as the comedic relief, but they don't.
Yeah, that.
I am happy to say that my voice is fixed. Everyone is telling me in the chat, so thank you, Jezer, for being on the show and working your magic behind the scenes, because whatever you did worked. But
all I had to do is I muted Korey's mic because for some reason Korey's mic and your mic were connected, so I don't know what the fuck that's going on there. Yep.
So let's talk. Let's really pick this episode apart. We do get a lot of Nate here, which I'm not complaining about. But what did you guys think about the overarching theme of the episode?
It was the reads, right? It was like the reads that they auditioned for. It was the whole like, oh, you protected me from that blast shot. Oh, we can't date because we're both Rangers. It's pretty much the audition scene. Is what they used for that whole script.
It is.
When the commander called him out in front of everybody, I thought that was really unprofessional of her. Put him on blast like that. I'm just like, dang, that's not cool.
I love that Korey got caught up into the schematics of professionalism.
Right? That's not right. You pull him into the office and be like, and then just show him, just like turn the monitor around. Look, can you explain this to me? She was just mad, and she pulled up in front of the mayor.
How would you have handled it? How would you have handled the whole situation?
All right. He's like, oh, how she turned her back, and she's like, oh, I feel like there was something else. I need you guys to meet me in my office, and then she'll storm out, and then they meet her in there, and then she turn the monitor around. And it's like, can you guys explain this to me? That would have been a little more dramatic and I can't find the word for it, but it's better than what she did, just putting them on blast like that.
Edward Sanchez Production says Korey is a hater. LOL.
No, I just know how to write.
Oh, you know how to write? Yes, MMPR. Like when we watch MMPR, it's like.
Oh no, I could tear the original apart. I got all kind of trash to say about it.
I don't think there's ever been like a solid like series as far as writing goes. It's all been just up in the air with what the storylines that they're doing.
It's been all right.
I mean, look, I think that same thing. I actually think that another season that had a ton of promise too, and didn't necessarily live up to that expectation was Dino Charge. And I think it started off strong, and it's another one of those casts where I absolutely love those people. And I you know what I will say about Dino Charge, for as many characters as they had, they actually did kind of like give them development and flush them out for the most part. And they had a lot of characters to juggle. So I really don't see there being an excuse for us not to know anything about Ravi. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I know nothing about, like, literally Mikey Perez could be Ravi and it would not make a difference to me either way. You know what I mean?
I don't know. There's not, I mean, if this is half the season, there's only like, 10 or 11 more episodes to go. I don't think that's enough time to give the rest of the characters some like screen time because they just pretty much disregarded everybody else. They just got rid of everybody else. Like, oh, we don't really give a shit about any of the characters. Let's just give all the storylines to Nate.
Hey, Jezzer, I have a question for you. So, I know
still Cruz.
Oh, Jezzer, my question for you is this: I know you watch a ton of TV, and you watch a lot of series that have already either been completed or you're getting to a finale. When you know a series is coming to a finale, and let's say you got 5 episodes left, depending on the series, for the most part, with shows that you've been watching, are you like, oh, I don't know how they're gonna like wrap all this up in 5 episodes, or do you kind of like let it be like, all right, I think they have a plan?
Yeah, there's one of the series I just finished. Finished up Hawaii Five-0, which is like a cop procedural show in Hawaii, and you kind of saw.
It's only called Hawaii Five-0. It's a cop procedural show in Hawaii. I wouldn't have guessed.
But the way that they did it, like they're kind of usually the last season or whatever the ending season, they kind of wrap up the whole series in one season. Like they go back to like the first season and everything. So like tying up old stories or tying up old relationships. That's where they do it. Towards the end of this Beast Morphers season, I don't know if there's much to tie up, and I don't know if there's any stakes left. I know at the end of this episode, Evox had revealed that that his dad, the mayor, is gone. Now it would be a really cool idea if that was true, like that there is no way to save the mayor anymore. Like it's if in order to destroy Evox, they have to kill the mayor. I think that'd be a solid storyline, but I don't think that's where Beast Morphers is gonna go. I think we're gonna, at least for Evox, we're gonna get that same storyline that we had in Dino Thunder, where what was his name? What was the villain's name that was taking over the White Ranger's dad?
Oh, what's his name?
The chat will know. The chat will remember. But he came back. Remember, he came back towards the end, even though that he had like a Jekyll and Hyde type situation. And I think if Beast Morphers wants to do that, huh?
I know he's played Latham Gaines.
Yeah. So if Beast Morphers Mesogog, there you go. See, I knew someone in the chat would know. You Power Ranger fans would know. If they were to be bold, that's what they should do. But I have a feeling that he's just gonna come back. There's not gonna be any consequences. Versus other shows where there's consequences, but mainly a lot of shows they end on a high note, or I mean Breaking Bad, they had Bryan Cranston die, but it was still you saw his arc, you saw the arc, and when you have a show where it's just one person with storylines, there's like everybody has to have the redemption, everybody has to have that character development, and nobody else has that in the show, which freaking sucks. But that's where they're gonna go with it.
This question I have is for the chat and actually for the two of you. We'll let you two answer first in chat. I'd love for you guys to chime in as well. Every single Morphicon, we get the tease of a trailer and a great season. There's highlights in those trailers, whether it be Megaforce, whether it be Dino Charge, Ninja Steel, and even Beast Morphers. Have any of those seasons, as hype as you are when you see that new cast come out, you see that trailer drop, have any of those seasons lived up to the expectation that's set in your head?
No.
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 None.
They really hyped up that Dimensions in Danger thing, and that just fell so flat. Like, I was like, oh god, this is torture. This is bad.
Hey, wait, do you think it fell flat because we spoiled who everybody was that was coming back, though?
No, it fell flat because the storyline and how they used them was terrible. It's how they used them. You don't bring back people and waste their time if you're just gonna like have them have one line like freaking Selwyn had in the other crossover with the Ranger War. It's like, dude, really? You're gonna bring them back all the way to New Zealand? He's gonna have one fucking line? That's garbage. What the fuck?
Well, have any of the seasons come close?
Korey?
It all started with Megaforce. So no. The reveals started with Megaforce. Megaforce wasn't great. Super Megaforce wasn't great. Dino Charge is all right. Super Dino Charge wasn't great. Ninja Steel was trash.
Matthew Thompson goes, geez, Jez, are spoilers for Breaking Bad. Dude, the show's been over for like 5 years.
So we all know, most of you guys are all saying no. Earth Nerd, who's new to the chat, welcome, says, I don't know if RPM counts because that was so long ago, but RPM exceeded my expectations as a kid. I don't think you're going to get any argument from any of us there. I think RPM is one of the best seasons of Power Rangers. But I think that if you really think about Dino Charge, I actually think it only made 2 real missteps. One is that they brought the dinosaurs back, like, on that Earth. And the second misstep is they called it Super Dino Charge or whatever, Dino Supercharge. Other than that, though, if you take those 2 elements out of it and place the Dino Charge season in the regular Power Ranger continuity season, I think Dino Charge looks like one of the best seasons in the last like 10 years.
Yeah, it's just they fell flat as far as like how they ended it, but I think it was still a solid Power Ranger season compared to others. But like honestly, we still have a bunch of storylines that they can explore in the second half. They have the big Dino crossover, and then they have Dr. K coming. So, I mean, that's 2 good episodes, I guess. I really wish the crossover would be longer, but we're getting what we're getting, right?
We are. Now. Let's just give this episode a ranking real quick. We didn't go really deep into like plot points. I mean, we can do that right now. Give me some highlights of this episode that you liked and some highlights that you didn't like so much.
We got the reveal of Evox.
I disliked, so I'll let everybody else go.
Yeah, we got the reveal of Evox, and then we got the Nate and Zoey getting together, I guess, having that little Lady in the Tramp moment. But that's about it. Like, I mean, it's better than the past few episodes, but it's still just mediocre, I
do think though this Beast Morphers is going to finish strong though with the remaining episodes they have, but and I think it's a smart idea because I think that, for lack of a better term, I think that the first season fell a little. I mean, it started off really strong, and then kind of fell a little flat, and I felt like this season started flat, and I think it's going to finish strong, which is good because it leaves a better taste in the fans' mouths, like myself and all of you guys. Let's go to some of the people in the chat are saying. Jezzer, why don't you read off some comments for us?
Okay, let's go. Let's see. Flash says when Mayor Daniels Tannen revealed he was Evox, it reminded me of Dr. Mercer revealing himself as Mesogog in Dino Thunder. Yep, I think that was pretty good. Dino Charge was good. I think they were in regards to your question about the trailers at Power Morphicon or the reveals. Only Beast Morphers, but that was just because I loved the change in production. Did you guys notice a lot of change in production from Ninja Steel to Beast Morphers?
I felt that Beast Morphers actually didn't feel like it was in New Zealand as much as the other seasons, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
They did a job of using sets and stuff like that, and actually a lot of original footage, which I applaud them for. I think that Beast Morphers is a very ambitious season, so I think that was good.
Words and a trailer really mean nothing. That's what Blackwing says.
Oh, nice out, guy, says our one of our co-hosts, fellow cast members with the Illuminerdi, Migdalia. Congratulations, Jezzer. This does look like a really good episode. This layout looks really good. I like it.
Yeah. What is it? Also, Layla says, I think it was the pacing of the Dimensions in Danger, which is why I'm iffy about it. Yeah, the pacing was a little off. It was just like, oh, quick. Thomas Franco says, like Dino Charge, was satisfied didn't live up to the hype of Beast Morphers. Beast Morphers is lit. I don't know if it's lit, but it's redeeming compared to Ninja Steel. I just really did enjoy the Ninja Steel storyline. The whole, getting abducted by aliens, and then there's, a game show thing. I don't know. That was just a stupid... what the fuck?
And the fact that they had items related to their Zords, and they didn't really explain that at all. You get what I mean? Because Yellow Ranger had the truck, and then Red Ranger had his red bot. I mean, those items could have turned into their Zords, but they didn't do anything like that,
Yeah. Yeah. We got a few ratings. The Blur gives it a 3. Mikey Nerd Talk gives it a 3 out of 5. Shining Ryan Hopper 3 out of 3. John Boyce 3. Blackwing 3. Jared Hodges 3. Ronald Doe 3.5. Pikachu Master 3. Thomas Franco 4. Yeah. I'll give it a 3. Just a solid, middle ground or mediocre episode. I'll give it a 3. It's better
Our
than.
buddy Chris has just joined the chat.
Oh, he has. Hold on, let me add him to it. Hold on. Give me a second.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go on with this season. I do think it will finish strong. But yeah, I mean, it's so easy for us to compare this. It's very hard for us to actually compare this season to other seasons that came before it more recently because, like Toku Chris says, they're not the best of seasons. So it makes this one seem a little bit better. But I do think when the dust settles, I think that hopefully a lot of people are going to be looking at this season as a whole and say, oh, it was one of the better seasons. But to say best, I'm not sure. That's a hard sell to me so far.
We got Toku Chris. Give me a second, Toku Chris. I'm going to add a little camera feed for you. But you can talk. Keep going, Joe. Keep going.
I want to move on to our next subject and next topic. Last week, I said that, over the last couple of weeks, I've been saying that we got a lot more information on White Dragon. Legend of the White Dragon hit its goal on Kickstarter. So that is completely funded, and they're hard at work on it. There's been some cast changes and cast additions. We announced that exclusively here at the Illuminerdi. Catherine Sutherland is going to be playing a role in the Flash series, as well as Jenna Frank. Both actresses have undisclosed roles. We don't know what those roles are quite yet, but just adding them into this world is a big coup for Legend of the White Dragon. Now, let's talk about Legend of the White Dragon. What do you guys feel about?
We got Toku Chris in here.
What do you guys feel about the Power Ranger fan films that are going on?
Korey?
Me first?
Mm-hmm.
You first.
I don't know. Just adding those two to the cast feels like he's doing his own version of Soul of the Dragon. That's what it's feeling like.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Just about you.
It's a bad thing.
I like it. I like seeing some of the designs of the characters. I kind of hope it's not too tied to Power Rangers, but I like it. I enjoy seeing like all these Power Rangers have like passion projects that they want to put out and them actually putting out. I think that's a good thing. I think it's great for the fandom.
Toku, Chris, what do you feel about the? By the way, welcome to the show. But what do you feel about all these fan films that are popping up? What's your experience with them, and what's your take on them?
Well, thanks for having me on. I don't know if I'm loud enough. I'm changing settings as we go here. I don't know. Like I don't think they're bad by any means. I think having options to do different things and have these actors come back and play different things, so to speak, to kind of cater to the Power Ranger fans, I think that's cool. I'm glad when they set realistic crowdfunding goals. I know Legend of the White Dragon's first go around was a little bit astronomical there. So I'm, do I go out and financially support them personally? No, I don't. I wish I had the money to be able to throw freely around like that, but I don't. But I'm glad to see them succeed when they do. And obviously, Legend of the White Dragon having JDF, and that's a big name to put on that ticket, so to speak. So I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what they do with it. There's a lot of smaller things going out there. I don't know if I'll name them by name, but they know who they are. Some of the fan films, the small fan films that either do very small crowdfunding or no crowdfunding at all. They're fun.
The Unworthy.
Kind of my feeling. Oh, dude, I love Unworthy. That is probably that is top tier, in my opinion.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I actually think that I really am excited about a lot of these fan films, mainly because I feel as a consumer, it's like if you go to like Baskin Robbins, you're not just going to order vanilla every time. You know what I mean? Like,
I like vanilla, man. It's good.
I'm a vanilla guy myself, actually.
Look, I am too, but sometimes I want that mint chocolate chip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's talk about. Let's switch gears for a second. I want to talk about a couple stories we released earlier this week came from a stream that David Yost did. The first story I want to talk about is David Yost saying that Austin St. John would be the only original cast member returning for the team-up episode in Beast Morphers. Let's talk about this, because there's a lot of fans that don't believe that. And it's funny because, no joke, even before, or even right around the time we announced Austin St. John was going to be coming back, I was told by a lot of people that he was the only one coming back. And if anybody did come back after a part of the Mighty Morphin cast, it would be through voiceover work only. What do you guys think about this?
It makes sense. I mean, I don't know how much Hasbro has to throw around for one episode, but it makes sense that they'd want to at least try to get some voiceover work from some of the original actors. That'd be dope. I like it.
You know what I love having Toku Chris on this show is because if you see our Twitter messages to each other, this is like a fly in the wall of one of our conversations, which I love. But Toku Chris, give me your opinion on about what's going on with David Yost and what he said, and just your hot take on this big reunion episode.
Well, I said as much in the Facebook group posting, which Jezra knows about. Got into a little bit there with a couple guys. What's going on, guys? How you doing? So my biggest takeaway on everything, and this was true for both Saban brands, and it's true for Hasbro now, nobody involved in the production of the show cares about Power Rangers as much as the fans watching it do. Mm-hmm. And as much as I hate to say it, or even admit to it, getting the OGs back, especially some of them, is going to cost a pretty penny. Not because that they're worth that much, but because that's what it's going to take to get them to put their name back on Power Rangers, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And Power Rangers is it's produced on the cheap. That's why it's produced in New Zealand. That's why it's not, up in Canada. That's why it's not here in the US. It's done cheap because it's a cheap production, because it's the only way to make it profitable. They're not going to drop, tens of thousands of dollars to get Austin St. John and maybe David Yost and whatever Amy Jo is going to charge to try to get back to the show. They're not going to spend that much money for an episode or even an episode and a half for a show that frankly nobody's watching, for toys that nobody are buying. They're just not going to do it. Not for broadcast television.
This isn't Crisis on Infinite Earths, man. They're not getting Tom Welling back from Smallville.
So it's great that they got ASJ back, and when you hear ASJ talk about it, he even talks about it like it was mostly a favor, and they threw enough cash on the side to make it worth it. And that's what it is, and that's where it's gonna be. And I think for the most part, until they do another movie and it blows up huge and they get all popular again, I don't think you're gonna see the OG cast brought back together except at conventions. And that's it. That's my hot take.
Korey, give me your opinion on. Obviously, I know you're a big Austin fan, but I would love to have your opinion on trying to get some of these OGs to come back, because it doesn't. I'm with Toku Chris on this. At the end of the day, and I know a lot of fans hate when we say this, but it is about making money. I mean, it's about the company making money and what makes the most business sense. So, Korey, what do you think about getting some of these OG Rangers to kind of come back for the show?
Yeah, like you guys were saying, it's all about money. No one's gonna waste their time to come out there to do this show for pennies, Like, you got to pay them the money they want for them to come back and put that effort into it. Are you going to get it? Ben Affleck in Justice League scenario, that was just lame. So that's voiceovers maybe, but even if they want to waste their time doing that, who knows? So
we as fans obviously want that to happen, but it doesn't seem as feasible as people think it is. I know, like, logistically it's pretty easy, right? You throw a bunch of money at people, they're going to come back. It works. I get the bottom line, but it doesn't make financial sense for that to happen. In a perfect world, believe me, if they wanted to make it happen, it could. But Toku Chris is right. There's the people just aren't watching. I do personally also think that the show is in a bad time slot. It's It should be streaming. There's so many other little hangups that should happen that just aren't. But one thing that always goes overlooked is the Dino Thundercast. And from what I've heard, none of them are coming back. There's going to be a voice replacement. Anybody hear anything differently, or what's you guys' take on that?
I've seen a lot of people on Facebook just be like, "Oh,
I mean, it's not any different."
Yeah, they couldn't get any of the Dino Thundercast in. What's the point of even shooting anything? It's like, well, you gotta have something. I mean, you gotta try at least, you know.
Well, we haven't even talked about whether they got Camille or a Michael Tabor back to voice their roles.
That's a great point.
Like Super Sentai does all the time, where they'll just have the dude in a suit, and they'll just use somebody else's voice, and they'll just move on with the show.
That's true.
Now, from what I've heard about this episode, I mean, I don't want to Toka Chris. We could talk a little bit about some of this, but from what I've heard about the episode, though, from people close to production, is that for a 30-minute long episode, it's decent. It's actually pretty decent. But some of the actors might be in multiple episodes. Have you heard any of those same rumblings?
I've heard that ASJ is treated more like the carrot on the stick, as far as like at the end of one episode. Like his big reveal happens at the end of the episode before the team up, and then he's mostly in the team up episode. But I mean, from what I've heard, story-wise ish, is you follow the Dino Charge Rangers more because they get teleported or somehow get into the our dimension, and it's following their storyline as to why they got there. Are they chasing somebody? What are they here for? And then ASJ's character Jason just kind of gets brought into that mix. With the Dino Charge over multiple episodes, ASJ in an episode and like a quarter. And then I don't know. I can't speak on the Dr. K stuff, so I'm out on that one. I don't know if that's a 1 or a 2-parter, but so I mean, basically, you have 8, 9 episodes left when the show comes back this fall. Mm-hmm. So maybe 5 episodes. You're looking at team up crossover stuff between RPM and then the Dino stuff. I don't know.
Now let's talk about this for a second. Do you think that this team up, because this is a big Dino team up, and we know that we got Ryu Soldier for the next adaptation. Do you think they pulled the trigger too early on this team up, and it should have been saved for the next season? Or do you think it's they already have the footage, so they may have done it in this season?
It may have been best for them to have done it this season.
Yeah, you got that footage.
Go ahead.
Who's going?
No, Korey, go.
It's weird because I mean, even the Go Busters got pushed out of their own crossover, so to use it, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, even though I'm thinking about that fight scene in the Sentai version, the Go Busters aren't even in it. They're off rescuing somebody else. So I mean. They don't even have to use this if they would have used it later for Ryu Soldier. So it's not needed for anything really. I don't think.
I think. Well, I should know. So we know that Chip Led said to ASJ this was his last 2 Raw, that Chip was leaving the show. So he wanted to do something cool. And we've heard from, I want to say both Jason Bischoff and Melissa Flores, that they really wanted to end Beast Morphers with something epic for the fans. Almost like they kind of knew that things were going to be changing after Beast Morphers was done. So honestly, I think you either get it in Beast Morphers or you don't get it at all. Because I don't necessarily think, because you have to remember, going into next year, for the Ryu Soldier adaptation, there's no one that we know from Saban Brands working now at Hasbro, with Melissa being the last one removed. Brian Casantini's gone, Jason Bishop's gone, Melissa Flores is gone. There's no one left in the show production side other than the people in New Zealand that, and obviously casting with Iris Hampton and stuff. But other than that, we don't know what Chip's, position is right now, where he moved on to, somewhere in the company, but we don't know where. So yeah, I don't think the crossover happens if it doesn't happen this year.
Now, before we continue on Power Ranger talk, we have a new trailer here at the Illuminerdi, a new show that's coming out that we're going to be doing. We have a trailer for it. Check it out right here, and then we'll be back talking Power Rangers. So check this out, guys. Now, we're not going to let the craziness of the world stop us from settling some of the greatest debates in geek history. Welcome to the first episode of Rage Cage, the ultimate debate ring, where two nerds enter, one nerd leaves. Now, we're not going to let the craziness of the world stop us from settling some of the greatest debates in geek history. Welcome to the first episode of Rage Cage. That is Rage Cage. It is the WWE debate bridging subjects across all pop culture. Rage Cage pits two people against each other in a quick-paced debate. Two contestants enter, two contestants leave, but one with intellectual superior as they choose to the audience. Now, the first matchup that we're going to have tomorrow on Rage Cage is going to be the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange, taking on Rick and Morty. That is going to be airing tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So it's going to be right before the wrestling show right here on the Illuminerdi. It's going to be Brandon Zachary against, you guys all know, Sam Locke. And Sam was a big villain back in the day where we used to be. A lot of people did not like Sam all that much, but there you go. It's going to be fun, though. Check it out, guys. I'm really excited for Rage Cage, but guys, let's get back onto the Power Ranger topic at hand. I agree with you guys. If the team-up was going to happen, it obviously is going to happen here in Beast Morphers. How much pressure is on Ryu Soldier after having that team-up, though?
I think none. I feel like their mind is made up, and I wouldn't be surprised if season 28, that's what it is, right? 28. Mm-hmm. If yes. Season 28 is just lackluster, and they're just gonna pull a RPM and bury it.
Toku Chris, do you think this puts the pressure on Ryu Soldier to perform well, or do you think this is kind of like a I don't want to say a throwaway season, but what do you think?
I personally feel that the Ryu Soldier adaptation, season 28, is a contract obligation and nothing more. I don't think anybody at Hasbro or wherever the show is going to go next, whether it's E1 or if it stays Power Rangers Productions in New Zealand, I just don't think that they are bought into the formula. And I think no matter what Ryu Soldier does, it will be like RPM in the sense that if it's awesome, cool, it's awesome. If it sucks, hey, it sucks. I think the brand is, for the live action show, has a fate that's been sealed well before whatever happens next.
Oh, let's hold that talk. I want to get your opinion on the expectation of Ryu Soldier and what you think. Do you think it can be a good season if they go, for lack of a better term, balls to the wall?
Me? I think if they were going to do this, this is kind of a stretch, but having someone in the Ryu Soldier suit at the end of the crossover would be dope. I don't know if, because with the original Sentai series, like I've said before, there was an older Ryu Soldier team. It'd be dope to see Jason suit up as that and then hand off the sword to a new person, even if they're shadowed or whatever, since they haven't done casting for it yet. So I think if they were to tie it in that way, that'd be dope, but I don't think they're even going to touch that or are even thinking about doing that right now. I think that's the only way to connect it or try to keep this continuity going.
So a couple of things, Jezza, we all have to think about is that we're not necessarily even sure that Ryu Soldier, I don't know I would strongly doubt that they had chose what the season was going to be at this point. But who knows? Maybe that would be an amazing way to kind of end the series, I think.
It would be a nice send-off for the Beast Morphers team and bring in the new series, but I don't know if they think.
I think it's hilarious that the send-off has nothing to do with actual Beast Morphers, though. It's just the send-off of other characters. I want to talk about another element that I think a lot of people kind of overlook is with the COVID virus, the pandemic that's going on, and this is going to be for you, Toku Chris. we usually get hyped around Power Morphicon every September, every August or September. We get together once every other year. We sit down in a crowded room and we anticipate the new cast reveal for the next season. However, it's a definite possibility that this may not happen for this season, and the cast may just be what it is. If that is the case, and let's say Power Morphicon does get canceled, do you actually even think there's going to be a Power Morphicon after the fact, even though that we already have like a cast reveal and the season is already in motion?
I think Power Morphicon will happen one way or the other, whether it's this year or next year, regardless of what happens with the show itself or COVID-19 or anything like that.
Let me ask a better question. Do you still think it would be the official Power Ranger convention if it doesn't happen this year?
Well, I mean, that's a dangerous word to throw out there, the word official. Sure. Only because Hasbro doesn't usually like to give that branding, because that would mean licensing and things like that. So they work with it because it's the biggest and largest. I think if whenever Power Morphicon happens, I think Hasbro will join forces with them, so to speak. But a cast reveal would be kind of silly with the show's airing in February and you're not doing the convention until, like, say, March or April of next year as a makeup date. Right. You could still bring the cast there if filming is done, because that's another thing too. You can't bring the cast if they're out filming. Yeah. So Power Morphicon would have to happen again almost early summer, but then you're getting into WonderCon and Anime Expo and San Diego, and just becomes it's a huge logistical nightmare for a lot of people in the convention world, and even for Scott, who does all those shows too. So I don't know, man. That's a loaded question that I don't have a good answer to.
And I don't think any of us are supposed to have that answer. I know, Jezra, you're a big fan of going to conventions. Actually, Korey met you at Power Morphicon way back when. What does it mean for you guys that we may not get a Power Morphicon this year? I mean, I'm not saying it's canceled, because I truly hope it's not. But what's your guys' feeling on this?
I'm still grieving over the loss of San Diego. I'm not even thinking about Power Morphicon right now. You know, San Diego has always been like a pinnacle vacation time for me to just kind of like let loose and enjoy the summer. But as far as Power Morphicon goes, I mean, it would only make sense for them to postpone it, because I doubt there's going to be a ton of actors willing to make the trip out when still, like, by that time, I don't think that we're going to have an answer for or whatever is going on, you know, with this pandemic. I don't think there's going to be an answer for, like, is it coming back right away? Can it still spread? I think that's going to really scare away a lot of guests, so I don't think it's smart to even try to push or try to, like, get this rolling by September.
I couldn't agree more. All right, so Flash has a comment. He says, you guys think that the tease Ryu Soldier in Beast Morphers crossover, maybe like revealing a Ryu Soldier sword stuck in the stone, could be a cool end scene?
Could be a cool end scene. Could be pretty easy to do for them.
I have a feeling Jason's going to be holding that sword in some form or fashion. Their whatever Dino Chompy sword that they use. What is that thing called?
The Ryu Soldier Morpher or whatever.
Oh no! When we get the return of the Gold Ranger. I'm just kidding.
No, I can tell you right now, we won't.
It'd be dope though. It'd be really cool,
right?
Hey, that'd be a cool throwaway scene, just even for a brief second. His powers flash or whatever. Cool. Yeah. That's not going to happen. I've already resigned myself to that fate.
We get Pyramidas coming out.
I always think about how, like, when I go back, I was watching Zeo not too long ago, and I go back and I look at the cast that's assembled that they had in Zeo, and think, man, that might be like when it was Jason and Billy, and when Billy was like their, you know, man in the chair. I honestly think that might be the best Power Ranger cast ever assembled. And I think the storytelling is pretty good for being Mighty Morphin and Alien Rangers. And then I don't know how they shit the bed with Turbo. I do not know that it thematically doesn't make it.
That was what was that? That was a. Just listening to the way ASJ described how he got brought back for Zeo, which was, hey, we're going to pay you money to do the show, and then we'll also throw you in the movie, too. That was the agreement, so to speak. And when he was brought in specifically, he said it himself, to boost ratings because the ratings were dipping. And I don't know if they just decided to chase down a formula that was going to be different, and it didn't. I mean, they went way, like, acid trip land almost for a little bit there at the beginning of Turbo.
Yes.
But no, Zeo is definitely like the pinnacle of the Mighty Morphin era, if you want to call it, in terms of storytelling, character growth, development, and seeing the final arcs of some of these characters that we had followed for 5 years at that point.
I mean, and it's just crazy how underplayed Rocky is, too, because he's such a goof. And it's like, wow, like, because when you watch Rocky and Mighty Morphin, he is completely forgettable. But in Zeo, he is so different. He's a... he's kind of like a goofy kind of like guy, and I really, really dig that. To think that guy was a Red Ranger at some point is kind of hilarious to me.
Kind of a Red Ranger. He's kind of a Red Ranger.
He was just the color red. He didn't lead the team at all.
It's almost like you could make headcanon that said he was just too overwhelmed with the color red, and so when he finally got shifted down, demoted, so to speak, he was like, oh, thank God. He's just doing his own thing, so... Yeah,
hey, I mean, a question, and this is just a random question. I don't know if you might have the answer to this, Toku Chris. Do we know how long Boom has the license for Power Rangers?
I assume it's through the end of 2021, because Saban seems to have pushed everything through the end of 2021. I don't know for sure, though, and I have asked, and... I don't think anyone that has that answer is willing to give that answer up.
Interesting. So it's something I hadn't really even thought about. Just whether that, I mean, I would assume that contract gets renewed, or goes to IDW, but I hope not. I hope not. I was going to say, I really like Power Rangers being with Boom. I actually think it's a really good fit. Let's talk about this other comment that David Yost made during his live stream, where he said that he would completely come back, but he doesn't necessarily want to come back for a cameo or just a one-off episode. He wants to come back full-time as a mentor in a season. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Yes.
It would have been cool to see if he was the mentor, like in like a tech season, like SPD or Overdrive or something like that. That would have been cool. Like if he had Cat's role in SPD, or if he was the... or if he was the mentor in Overdrive and he was like, oh man, shit's going down. We gotta catch these damn stones before it gets wild out there.
I'm not even gonna watch that series. I can't even right now, dude. Even with the new Super Sentai, was it Cure Major? I can't take it seriously. It just looks so. I don't know. They said it looks like terrible, huh?
It's fine. I promise you, it's fine. I was looking at it because I don't like its silly stuff, but it's just fun.
I would love David to come back. I think that would be a great, a personal redemption for everything he went through back when he left the show, but also, two, a great chance to reintroduce the Billy character one last time, especially, let's face it, Billy was hot coming off of the 2017 movie. That was everyone's favorite character in that movie. Mm-hmm. It'd be a great way to segue possibly into the next movie if you're going to make Billy a popular character again. And frankly, to hear him say that, if they brought him back full time as a mentor, he would go ahead and basically opt out of the union. That's huge. If that's something that they're willing to explore, especially because there are some, extra suits in that series, that could be really cool to have him actually even suit back up towards the end of the series, as just one last hurrah with Billy. I'd be totally down for that, 100%. Really
cool. You took the words right out of my mouth. What a great redemption! And honestly, going back and watching Power Rangers, especially those early seasons, as a kid, a lot of people are, I'm a Jason fan or I'm a Tommy fan. But as an adult, I really, really like Billy. I actually think he is the most flushed out character probably in that show's history. And you see his evolution, which I really, just as a viewer and understanding, Billy had a lot of self-doubt. He may have been the smartest guy in the room, but had a ton of self-doubt. But by the end of the series, he becomes a confident leader, even ahead of Tommy, or I would arguably even say ahead of Tommy and Jason. But I do really, really want his chance to shine as an actor, because obviously towards the end of his era and his run, he was bullied out of the show, and I really would love to see that redemption story come full circle. I couldn't agree more, but I would love to see it happen. What are the chances we get in Ryu Soldier?
That'd be cool. I mean,
like, that's happening.
A few of the Dino Rangers coming back would be dope, since they have that older team.
If Chip's not there, and it's the and I forget his name already, the new guy, that's the executive producer who,
Simon
if you remember, when Dimensions in Danger was about to air, he even came out on Twitter and said, "I don't realize that people over the age of 5 even watch this show." Was his comment about Power Rangers. If he's the one calling the shots, I don't think he might go David Who. That's just I would love to see it happen, but someone at Hasbro has to get involved and be like, "Yo, we want David, and we want him now. What do we have to do to get him?" And I don't see it happening. I trust me, I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong 100%, but I can't hype myself to think that it even could happen.
A few of us, I hate using the word insiders, but let's just say a few of us are insiders. We should almost have an internal Power Ranger betting game, like a betting line. We think all the stuff that we've said and what we think is the possibility of it happening or not happening. Because here's a question I've had for all you guys is, where do you think the character Billy would be in the actual Power Ranger universe? And I know that we're going real nerdy here, but I love these kind of nerdy talks.
Bring it on.
I think he's the Phantom Ranger.
I don't think Billy's the Phantom Ranger.
I always thought about like for sure. I think he'll have a fish human hybrid baby with his homegirl from Aquatar, and he'll be running. He'll have some sort of organization up there. He'd be like, "Hey guys, remember all this stuff that happened? It was me. Whatever technical marvels that happened in Power Ranger history is just like, oh, it was Billy. He's just working in his shadows, like Tony Stark. Just can't stop working."
I like that idea a lot, actually. I don't think he's the Phantom Ranger. Somebody had once somewhere said, I don't know if it was Facebook or Twitter, someone had said oh, there were so many clues, and I'm like, what clues? He showed up and was hitting on Cassie, and I'm like, yo, you got a girlfriend back on Aquatar. What are you doing? Billy's not a player. He's never been a player. I do like what Korey says. I think it'd be kind of cool, if he got healed or whatever on Aquatar, and he's been kind of working in the shadows, helping out. And some of these Zords that seem to come out of nowhere don't seem to make sense. It's something that Billy created, and I'd love to see him show up in Ryu Soldier, with the the Dino Zords or whatever they're going to call them, and be like, "Yeah, I made these. I got a thing for dinosaurs, and then, I made them on Aquatar. Here's my spaceship. What's up? Just." And then you leave it at that. You don't even have to go into a backstory beyond that. Be like, yeah, I came from an alien planet. I was chilling there for the last 20 years. I'm back.
Billy used to be afraid of fish dying. He's married to one.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate overcoming your fear story. Again, development. I do want to ask you guys this, because I love these kind of Power Ranger theories when you kind of dive deep into these. What do you think the idea was who the Phantom Ranger was going to be? Do you think it was something they were just never going to explain? Or do you think they clearly were like, all right, we're going to cast somebody, but maybe not?
It was going to be the dude from VR Troopers again.
Brad Hawkins.
Brad Hawkins.
Brad Hawkins for every Ranger.
There's actually a, on Twitter, PR Media Info or something like that, actually found, or maybe it wasn't him, somebody found on Twitter a very old promotional thing for the Phantom Ranger that described him as an interdimensional being. So a being that can go into different dimensions, specifically to help the Power Rangers, but he can never give up his identity because doing so would cost him his powers or something like that. But that was the original pitch for Turbo for that character, which would kind of make sense because these writers are like, oh yeah, it was totally meant to be Billy. No, it wasn't. David walked off the show. You really think they were going to be like, sorry, David, but I know it's been 3 months. You want to come back and look, we made you a Power Ranger again? No, I don't buy that for one bit. I think that's a lot of and you guys, Joe and Jeju, you guys have talked to, I'm sure, a lot of writers and stuff over the years for television or for comics or whatever. 9 times out of 10, especially television writers, they don't remember, especially when it's a syndicated kids program. They don't know. They don't know what they're talking about. So if you lead them on and say, hey, the Phantom Ranger, the guy with his black and he had a ruby, he could go invisible, was that supposed to be Billy? And they're like, Did we never say who it was? Oh yeah, it was totally meant to be Billy.
Yeah, I definitely
I
agree with that. I do think that I think that when the Zordon wave was coming, it was just supposed to be just random actor, and a just random good looking actor that could be a Power Ranger, kind of like when Sam from SPD turned into a person that walked off for like 2 seconds. I very much right. I very much think that was the case. Something else that another Power Ranger, like just fun question that I've always thought about was when they were going to introduce Brad Hawkins as the White Ranger. How? Like, what was the story behind it? Like, was it going to be Ryan Steele? Was it just going to be a new character they randomly met, even though their other buddy Tommy lost his powers? Like, we got this new blonde-haired friend instead. Goodbye. Like, what? I wonder what the story was there.
I seen the trailer for the JDF Cybertron, and his name was Ryan Steele.
Mm-hmm.
So JDF would have been Ryan Steele, and he would have been new Ranger guy. I mean, Rocky Adamaisha came out of nowhere.
I actually did a lot of research into
his name. Zach's cousin, and what's that dude Trini had a crush on?
Richie, which Richie. I would swear to God, Richie was supposed to be Brad Hawkins.
Well,
those
actually
wear the same outfits and crap.
I actually did a lot of research into this, and everything that I've talked to with piecing together producers and writers, Richie and Curtis were there for a very specific reason. They were actually they were there to take over Austin and Walter's roles, because during the time Walter and Austin had the talks about wanting to essentially unionize and leave the show if they didn't get what they wanted, because they weren't getting paid a lot of money, and then somehow along the way the others, and they were going to do this all together. They were all going to leave together. And then somewhere along the way, one of them said, you know what, maybe it'd be best if we stayed. So it was almost like split down the middle. And it was obviously Austin and Walter on one side, Twee, David, Amy, Joe, and Jason, David, Frank on the other side. And at the last second, Twee flipped and ended up going with the other two. And that's why there wasn't necessarily a replacement for her. At least that's a story I've been told by multiple people of how that kind of came about. But once Twee flipped, they just said, you know what, forget about Richie and Curtis. We're just going to bring in 3 new people. And essentially that's what happened. So that's a story. That's a story that I've always been, or that I've been told from multiple people. So I didn't know that either, that Twee flipped at the last minute and she was originally going to stay on the show with everybody else.
That is true. I had a conversation with a Ranger, and they did mention that. But it was a little bit more colorful language. It was colorful
language, and it was over a lot of drinks. Yes, this is also true, and I can confirm that.
I would have been mad if Richard became the Red Ranger. I'm like, who's this softy? Get him out of here.
But the Brad Hawkins thing, it's so interesting to me because I don't know how that character was going to get introduced, nor
could have been another student, right?
I guess so, but that would have been I guess that could have been the case. But then also the other fascinating one is because I find the Gold Ranger thing so fascinating because they did a really good job at Zeo trying to figure out, like, as a fan, like trying to figure out all these like little Easter eggs, who the Gold Ranger was going to be, and that's the only time I would say that it's paid off, of that Sixth Ranger, like that mystery kind of paying off. But I remember, like, there was this dude, Raymond, this guy named Raymond. There was the Billy, David Trueheart, Tommy's brother. So there was a lot of people that it possibly could have been. And I do remember Jason David Frank. We have a story about it. Jason David Frank pretty much saying that his brother was going to be the Gold Ranger if Austin said no, which I find fascinating too. But then Brad Hawkins, you have to assume that he must have been the first pitch of being like, all right, let's just use this guy that we already have, since VR Troopers is kind of is leaving,
So he would have been Trey?
I don't know.
I thought that was weird that they just voiced the triplets, their regular voices with Brad Hawkins' voice. I didn't even know that until I was like a grown-ass man. I was like, what?
Well, see, and that's the part that I guess is confusing for me, because if you listen to all the different people that were involved in Zeo and the whole Gold Ranger thing, as far as like, oh, who's supposed to be the triplets, say that they were supposed to be the Gold Ranger for good and also get their own spin-off series, and be part of the next movie. I mean, that's what they're saying. JDF says his brother, was supposed to potentially land the role if ASJ didn't come back. ASJ says they practically begged him to come back. And then for a long time there was the rumor that Brad Hawkins was supposed to transition over, and it was supposed to be Ryan Steele, the Gold Ranger, and that VR Troopers would be written in a way that ended, and he could cross over the show or just be a crossover somehow. It's like I don't. But then you listen to I read or heard an interview with Brad where he just said that they called him up, and because he was in town, he went and did all the ADR for the entire season in one day because they needed someone to do ADR and they didn't know who they were going to cast yet, so they wanted to get a good voice, and so they picked him. So it's like, what is the true story behind that? Because I have no clue.
We should start a Power Ranger documentary series about like things that almost never happened or things that did happen in a shitty way. So like this could be an episode. Like there's this great wrestling documentary that comes on Vice called I think it's called Dark Side of the Ring. We should totally do a Power Ranger.
Dude, there's documentaries for everything. I mean, you got a documentary on the freaking like Monopoly game for McDonald's. There could be a documentary for everything.
I watched that.
Like they had 2 documentaries on that Fire Fest, and then they got the freaking Tiger King thing. We could make a documentary about this. There's a ton of like controversial shit within the Ranger community that can just like
a lot of people don't know. Like a lot of fans. Like all of us kind of take that capabilities and the fact that we like to get that inside info, right? So we go to these shows and we befriend these people. I mean, I would say, and Joe, you would agree, like a lot of the sources that we all have, like we're friends with. Like, we don't bug them for stuff. 9 times out of 10, they just kind of pop in and go, "Hey, you want to hear something cool? Or you want to hear something fucked up?" And then they give it to you. With that trust that they know you're not going to go out there and be like, "Hey, so and so told me X, Y, Z, LMNOP." What if you just read the inside edition guide to Power Rangers? If you just read that, or you just go with what they say in on the official websites and stuff like that, sounds everything's all peachy keen, hunky dory, and I think we all know for a fact that that's not the case. And it's the truth behind a lot of this stuff. It's like, let's be real, like I'm not going to get into specifics. Everyone talks about the ASJ JDF beef. They're not the only beef in the Power Rangers actor world by the slightest. There's other beefs, and there's some that are actually bigger, but you don't know about it.
Exactly.
And that's the stuff I love to hear and find out about. And I always get excited when that stuff works its way into the public finally after years sometimes.
I feel like if we actually made never mind. If we made a Power Ranger Black Book legitimately and was like, we're going to release all the secrets. I mean, we all call the Illuminerdi, right? Just another website, subdomain, like release all the Power Ranger secrets. No, but you're right, man. I will say this. Some of the information that because Jezza, you've been there with me twice when we've been around. We've been around a certain Ranger, and times have been like, oh shit,
hostile.
Hostile,
hostile. It's like, crazy. Man, if any of this got out, this would be really bad.
Yeah. And I even think one of the times, straight up, we were like about to start recording, and they were like, well, dude, they're not even like.
You know what? Like, I don't even know. Maybe the audio was running. I don't know. I need to go back to some of those SD cards, because if it was, that is bad. That is like Richard.
We'll never put that out. Any Rangers that want to come on this show, that audio will never get out. But like internally, like Chris was saying, man, it is quite wild. I mean, very much so. You might see it from a fan perspective too. Like it's the same way that I feel like our community is like there's people that don't like each other just in our community. Yeah. And you know about some of the bigger ones, but like some people just can't stand other people. Like Jezzer's a part of a lot of that.
Sorry. It's just fun. I don't know. I enjoy it because it's like a lot of people like take it so seriously. It's like, dude, there's a whole shitstorm going on outside. It's like, why are you gonna dwell on little things like that? It's crazy.
Dude, trust me. I know. I have people that legitimately hate me, and I can't tell you why. Like because I literally don't know. Or some people hate me because I tried to explain one time, why Hasbro's not making an entire wave of female action figures for Power Rangers. You know,
they don't accept logic. That's why.
legitimately hate me for my comments of being like, hey, like, sorry, like, I'm not being I don't believe in stereotypes, but unfortunately, the toy industry does, and so does the music industry, and so does the entertainment industry. Like, it's there for a reason. You can either accept that it's there and work your way to combat it yourself, or you can be in denial and go, no, that can't be it, and drink the Kool-Aid. I don't know. Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I 1000% agree with that. Like, it's so crazy too, because sometimes, I mean, you're just giving your, like, here you're laying out facts, but like, hey, this is what it is. And for some people, they get so mad about like the facts, and it's like, dude, I remember when we had said, I forgot. Oh, the Ryu Soldier was going to be the new season. You have no idea how much. Like, I was reading the comments, just being like, "You're stupid because you think this, you think that." It's like, bro, as much as I don't want it to be the season either, it's what it is. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it is what it is. Until it got announced, and then it's the same thing as like, oh fuck, like now. I mean, obviously, I get a little bit more credit with those people, but it's always those other people that you're talking about, Chris. It's like, oh, you ruin it for the fandom. Man, what the fuck? You know,
but they don't realize, like, outside of the Power Ranger fandom, like Marvel and DC, this happens everywhere. This happens for like DC TV. Like, all these things get leaked out like weekly, and no one gives a shit. But like with the Ranger fandom, like if some information comes out, it's like the end of the fucking world, and you're a fucking you ruin everything. You know, it's like, dude, this is normal nerd fandom shit. It's like you guys just not exposed to it.
To make people's heads roll, I remember, because aging it a little bit, and Joe, I think you and I talked about it a long time ago, back when we were talking about which season was coming next, or which Sentai was coming next. It was a toss-up at the time that I had heard between Zyuohger and Ryu Soldier. Like, they didn't know which one they wanted to do between those two. The only one they knew for certain that they weren't going to do was Tokyuger. Like, trains were off the table from the start. I made the mistake of saying that on Twitter, and holy hell. Like, I'm sorry, train bros. Like, I'll never come at you again, but like, the only worst thing you can say then, hey, people don't buy girl action figures, is people don't buy trains. And that was just, I sinned twice in the matter of like 3 weeks or something like that. But I mean, and there's big people that are huge fans of Zyuohger, and it's kind of like, you know, I'm curious how they feel knowing that it was literally this or that, and I think that's why it took so long to get an answer, because they were literally to the last second trying to decide, do we go with cubes or do we go with dinosaurs? And in the end, dinosaurs won.
Yeah, I remember you and I talking. I remember, like, right before we broke that story, it was like you and I talked at length about what was going on. It was like we were piecing together information, and that was a lot of fun, actually.
I found out it was Ryu Soldier like maybe 3 hours before you put the story up, and I didn't even know that you knew at that time yet. Like, I hadn't talked to you about it.
Right.
It's like I found out and I went to sleep, and then I woke up and you had posted the story. I was like, oh, damn, that got out fast.
Yeah, it was quite quick. It's pretty interesting, though. I will say, being in this community is really interesting. And that's another thing, too, Chris, is that I want to ask you, and this is more inside baseball for you and I, but how have you felt with the on the PR side when it was Saban and Hasbro? Like, have you felt the different shift? Because I have.
I feel there's a major different shift, because Saban brands, they had their homeboys, so to speak. You know, they had Mike over at Power Rangers Now. They had Matt at Comic Book. And they were a lot more forthcoming with, hey, you know what? Yeah, we're going to give you an exclusive first peek at this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to work with you on this, and we want to partner with you, and we're going to make sure that every single month that you get sit down with the Boom Studios crew so they can talk about the issue that's coming out. And now that it's with Hasbro, it's kind of like, hey, fan sites, you know, here's a chance for you to ask 3 questions in a live stream, you know, and but not guaranteed your questions actually make it into the actual one we release. Ready, set, go. And then that's really about it. Like, I don't think I've seen Matt over at Comic Book post anything for Boom as far as like sit down with, you know, with Ryan or with anybody else. You know, obviously Mike's off the grid now, and yeah, it's a complete tonal shift. It's gone corporation is what it's gone. Total corporation versus a company. And I wasn't a huge fan of Saban. There's a lot of people at Saban I did not get along with.
Really?
Well, I mean, public figure-wise, like Melissa and Jason, I got along with them just fine. But, like, other people behind the scenes over there, we butted heads way too much,
Right.
privately. Hasbro, the best way I can describe that is, it was Saban. You could go, like, I can tell a story that at a convention, not Power Morphicon, but another convention, myself and a couple other people met with somebody involved with the brand who teased us about, what do you think should be next after Dino Charge? And we threw out Q Ranger, we threw out Zoey, and they came back with, what do you think about Go Busters? And then 2-3 years later, boom, or maybe I shouldn't say 2-3 years, a couple years later, here's Beast Morphers, But you go back and think about it. Hasbro, I sit there and go, hey, at Toy Fair, I ask, I can't find any of the Play School Power Ranger toys anywhere. Like, what's your distribution issues with this? What's the plan? There's no new product being unveiled. Like, what are you doing to make sure that Play School people really like these Play School Power Ranger figures or little sets, they can get their hands on them? And their answer is, well, we're committed to delivering Power Rangers product to all our retail partners. I was like, what?
Oh my gosh!
You didn't answer my question. And there's like, what's your next question? And it's like, that's what you're getting now.
It's like a robot.
That's essentially when something that you and I have been talking about the last couple of days. Like the answer that I DM'd you, I was like, that is that canned fucking. I was like, are you kidding me with this?
Right. I was like, I wasn't even going to ask you who you talked to on that one because I'm like, oh, okay, I know who you talked to.
yeah. Canned. I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that is, and that's what Hasbro has to do because they're a publicly traded company. And if somebody were to say something like, yeah, man, we really shit the bed with that season or that series or that toy. Shareholders can react negatively to that, and then they get busted and have to deal with all that crap. So they are required to be positive or give you no answers.
So I have a question. Actually, this is a really good question that I think that you can hopefully enlighten a lot of the people that are watching. You were at Toy Fair this year, and I want to talk about the reveal for Ryu Soldier because it did kind of come out of left field and it felt very unprepared. Talk to me about, because you said, and we both know it was very up to the minute whether it was going to be Zoey or Ryu Soldier. Can you kind of talk to me about why the announcement came out so? It felt kind of awkward, like out of left field. That announcement came out very specifically there.
I don't know why or why it feels that way, and I can't tell you exactly when they made a decision of what to go with. I can tell you I found out, and I think I messaged you from within the theater because I had just gotten word like 3 minutes before the presentation started what it was going to be.
Right.
Or that I found out it was going to be announced at the presentation while it was in the presentation, then I found out what it was going to be. But, I mean, they literally just kind of pieced together a quick clip, and then, I mean, they don't even have a title for it yet. It's still season 28. To me, I feel like it was oops, we hit publish on every single item that we were planning to reveal onto our, resource site. And every retailer out there already put up pre-orders for everything. We have nothing new to reveal. Let's just add this in real quick, and we'll figure out the details later. That's what it felt like. Is that what it is? I don't know, but that's what it felt like because they couldn't even say Ryu Soldier correctly.
Right. It felt like, right. It felt like they needed to have the audience walking away with, oh, well, at least we got something new out of this. I agree with that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it felt like. Is that what it was? I don't know. But to me, it literally felt like we need to have something that's a new reveal because we have nothing else to reveal. And that's why I think it came out the way it did. I don't know if that's true. That's what I think.
Okay, so before we wrap this up, I have a question for all of you guys, Jezer and Korey. We're going to start with you, Korey. What excites you right now the most about Power Rangers? Whether it be the show, whether it be the toy line, whatever it may be, what excites you the most about the franchise?
Right now, the comic book is what's keeping me going right now. It's keeping me hyped.
How about you, Jezer?
The Lightning Collection, actually. I'm excited to see which figures that they choose for their next few lines. I mean, talking about Phantom Ranger, that'd be a dope figure to see come up. Yeah. Or maybe even like, I'm kind of biased to like Blue Centurion because that'd be dope. That'd be a dope figure if it had lights and shit. That'd be dope. But the Lightning Collection pretty much. I feel like that's the only thing for like the OG fans to be looking forward to, is seeing all these seasons being revisited in toy form and having Hasbro be at the helm of that. Having them take the helm.
How about you, Chris?
Obviously the comics. It sucks that we had to do a hiatus real quick right before freaking issue 50. Right, especially with how that issue 49 ended, like that sucked. And Go-Go is still have like another issue, I think, left, or another 2 issues left that were all supposed to come out in April. So I'm a little bummed. It would be nice to get those going. Lightning Collection, I'm excited for. The 2 question marks that we don't know about. So, I mean, we know Wave 7 has kind of been figured out. You're looking at Mighty Morphin Black. You're looking at In Space Yellow. You're looking at, I forgot what. Zeo Red. And then they couldn't figure out what the last one was. And just recently, it's the coding has changed to be Mighty Morphin and then something with a G. So I'm thinking it's a Goldar, either without the wings or a different repaint of Goldar. But there's also that item that was found in Italy, Amazon, which is like a $40 price point. That's really hard to figure out what it comes down to, but a lot of people are thinking it's SPD Orange.
What?
Like a $40 price point SPD Orange, which obviously would be like a fan channel exclusive of some sort. I don't know, because it's got the same as SPD Shadow and SPD Red had, and then an O name.
Well, could it be Omega?
It could. It could definitely be Omega.
Well, $40 though?
Well, I mean,
it's like a $40 price point. Yeah, it's like the Black Widow that's at Target right now.
The Omega and Nova Ranger, I guess that would make sense, but that's interesting.
Or Omega with his bike, or Omega with Rick.
Yeah, with Rick.
Wouldn't it be cool if they made a Rick that could detach and become Battleizer armor for SPD Red, which is already out?
Yeah, that'd be dope.
That would be cool. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I thought it was a mislabeled Zeo Gold, because if you Google translate gold into Italian, it comes up as oro, like Spanish, and it's on Amazon Italy. So I was like, I don't know. That excites me, and then I'm curious. I really want to get more information on this Lightning Collection Zeo Megazord. I know we've seen pictures. People in Australia, some people said, "Oh, it doesn't transform," and some people said, "Actually, no, they didn't. They wouldn't confirm if it did or did not transform." And that's all we know. We have a picture from Australian Toy Fair, and a price, and that's about it.
I love it. So, Chris, we got to get you on more often. I want you to be a regular fixture, man. I love having you talking to you about this stuff. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate it. All the Power Ranger love. I know sometimes it sounds like we're negative on the brand. We are not. We're trying to deliver real information to you guys, because at the end of the day, if we didn't care about the brand, 4 grown men would not be talking about Power Rangers.
Right. On a Saturday night.
On a Saturday night, exactly. But thank you guys so much for joining us. I might do a watch along later for Netflix for Power Rangers, just because I wanted to watch some some Zeo episodes. So if you guys want to join in, I might do it. I'll keep everybody updated. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. Where can everybody find each one of you on social media? We're going to start with you, Korey.
C. Gibson Rex, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Jezzer.
Everywhere at Jezzer Zeus. You can send your hate mail there.
Chris?
You can find me everywhere at Toku Chris.
You can find me everywhere at Joe Illuminerdi. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you guys next week.